Hi, welcome to She Speaks, the podcast by She Initiative, where we have real conversations around mindset, confidence, and empowerment. I'm your host, Momtaz Islam. Today, I have an exceptional woman with me who's using her voice to change not just her community, but the world around her. She is the head of car-free cities at Possible, leading a landmark program to build zero carbon Britain for everyone. She has worked with Amnesty International, championed British Muslim identities, and use research and insight to drive real change for underrepresented people. Welcome to She Speaks, Hirra. How are you?
Thank you. I'm well. Can I make a little correction to the
Of
in
course.
which is just that I'm a co-director of Possible. So I used to be head of Car Free Cities, but from 2023, so the past 3 years, I've been the co-director there.
Oh, my apologies, sorry. But congratulations. Hira, you've had such an amazing, remarkable journey. Can you take us back to the beginning and tell us how your story started?
Yeah, so I was born in Lahore, and I was in Pakistan. I was brought over here when I was about 6 months old. I was just a baby. And my unfortunately, when I was really young, my dad lost his kidneys. So
Oh,
when I was under two. And so he was long-term disabled pretty much as I was growing up. It meant he couldn't work. And so I always say, we grew up on the dole, and I don't, mind saying that on the benefit system. My mum worked part-time in schools, as a midday assistant because that was like short hours, but she was my dad's full-time carer.
mm,
I think everything, I have really strong faith. And so to me, everything is, comes with a blessing or a lesson. And like the blessing in my father not being able to work meant that he had a lot of time to sort of invest in me and my brother and really just support he used to always say like turning our brains on, like starting the engines. So he spent a lot of his own personal time in like getting us to be academically smart, to be thinking critically about the world, to be politically aware. And that has just kind of seen me through. My father died, I think, almost 6, 7, no, oh my gosh, almost 10 years ago now. But he did eventually get organ donation, an organ transplant operation, which extended his life by about 15 years. But then he did pass away about 10 years ago. Yeah, I grew up on the dole. I grew up on the state school. We moved around a lot because there wasn't a lot of security. At one point, we did lose our house because like landlords just want to put up the rent really, really quickly. This is before the laws came in which you now can't do that and that's illegal. But
yeah.
we yeah, but we also had community. So like my mum or my mum's brother, they lived really close to us. So it meant all six of us, my siblings and my parents, were just kind of moved to his house. We were kind of all sleeping on the floor, someone sleeping on the sofa, someone like, but it's not how you want to live, but it's
Mm.
love and community, and there are people who are there to support you as you kind of get back on your feet. I went to university. I did English language and literature at King's just because I liked it. I don't think I had a particular plan when it comes to my career or what I wanted to do.
Mm.
I still don't, for that matter.
Okay.
And yeah, and then I kind of like fell into after university, I was just sort of like, what job can I do? Any job. Ended up doing events production, doing like really big like AGMs and sales conferences, traveled around the world a bit doing that, which was really fun, but I kind of felt like it didn't sit right with my morals. Some of the clients that we had, some of the things that they were doing, BP was, I remember one of them,
Mm.
and like Rio Tinto, these are like big mining firms, big fossil fuel firms, and we used to always have protesters. And I think, oh my gosh, I want to be on your side.
Yeah.
Like, don't push me. I actually agree with everything you're saying. So, I mean, after a couple of years there, I realized I need to move into kind of the social change sector. And that's when I moved to Amnesty International. And I worked there for a couple of years doing events management there. Um, and then, I kind of expanded. I moved into sort of thinking about British Muslims in the UK and how are we thought about and how do we think about others and what does it mean to be a British Muslim? So I did that for a good few years. Um, yeah, and then I like eventually I kind of ended up at what I do now, which is climate, and it's a big piece of my politics, I think, as well. And when I think about the future. So yeah, I realized I'd been rambling on for ages. I was like, let's
No,
shorten this.
no, it's your podcast, it's your story, and it's good. It's very insightful. So you worked with Amnesty International, you explored British Muslim identities and used evidence around underrepresented people to drive change. What drives that passion for social justice?
I mean, if I'm honest, a lot of it is to do with my faith. I do believe you're kind of put on this earth to serve God, but also to leave it better than you found it. And I think also just reflecting on my experiences in my life, like there's nothing that I have done or achieved without the support of others or without the help of others, whether that be my father or my uncle, my teachers, we all need each other.
Mhm.
And so I think that kind of informs the way I think about the world and the way I think it should work, in that I would like to be one of those people who helps other people, but also knowing that I also need help from others. So we kind of rely on each other.
100%. It's a community at the end of the day. So how do you connect climate justice and social justice, and what does that matter for women and communities as a whole?
Oh, do you know what? I actually think climate, it is when we're talking about the climate crisis, it's so interesting. You can talk about it from the human community, like humanity, but even going one step beyond that, it's actually about the community of life itself on this earth. So, every single species that you can think of, like, I mean, if you go outside now in London, everything's brown. It's like dying because of the heat. We've kind of
Yeah.
completely put everything
Mm.
in balance. So I think, everyone has to start with yourself and with your family and then with your community. But then I'm sort of thinking actually the climate crisis is an existential thing for this planet.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
Mm.
Uh, but the hopeful thing is that the solutions are there. Um, we just have to have the courage to enact them and like the will to enact them. And that's a big part of why I've kind of gone into politics, is to
Mm.
say that like not enough attention is being given to how we're changing the planet and what that means for life. I'll give an example. So I know people are talking about the climate crisis right now because of the effects in London,
Yeah.
but I went to Pakistan in 2000 and the last time I went was in 22.
Mm.
Um, 2 weeks after I came back, the place that I was staying in was completely destroyed by flooding, like excessive flooding. And that whole area was submerged. Hundreds of people died,
Oh
if
my
not.
God.
And that was in 22. And, I think I came back thinking, oh my God, I was just there. That could have been me, were
Yeah.
it not for the will of God. But I'm now in London. I'm hearing lots of people are really annoyed about, not annoyed, but upset about, what's happening with the wildfires, with how, and I'm kind of like, people in Pakistan have been suffering
Yeah.
really long time. It's only going to get worse for
Yeah.
them. So if we're working at 40-degree heat, 50-degree heat with no protection whatsoever,
Mm.
people are going to die.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a real driving it's a real driving motivator. But I think on the other side, the other thing that gives me hope is that genuinely we can construct our systems better so that we genuinely have a better way of living and a better way of life. So,
Mm.
I mean, you know, like I cycle around everywhere. I hate getting on the bus. I hate getting on the tube. I would much rather, I hate being in a car. Like I feel trapped. I feel like this is, I'm just stuck here. It's really sweaty. It's really, everyone's around me.
Mm.
Whereas I'm like, it's an actually nicer way of getting around. There's sort of
Yeah.
things like, don't people want locally grown food? Don't you
Yes. Yes.
like the wind on your skin and like
Yeah.
yeah, make yourself feel healthy. It's all of that.
Yes.
Like we support people to live better lives as
Mm.
well.
Yeah, as well as protecting the environment as well, isn't it? At the same
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Now let's talk about politics. So you stood as the Tower Hamlets Green mayoral candidate. That takes enormous courage. So well done for that. So what made you decide to put yourself forward?
Well, I mean, it was a really odd thing because actually we had a mayoral candidate in Natalie Beyonce. She was our Green Party councillor, and she was the right candidate, I think, because she's done an amazing work. But because of the housing crisis, her landlord decided to put up the rent
Yeah.
really. And her job was kind of moving around. So, you know, to be mayoral candidate, you have to either live or work in Tower Hamlets. So
Yeah.
she made the tricky decision that she thinks it's time to step down. And so I think we only ran like a 12-week campaign, maybe like a 10-week campaign, something like that.
Mm.
It was very quick. At that point, I was already standing as a Green Party councillor
Yeah.
candidate. And so we were sort of like just looking at who out of the kind of few people we had standing,
Mm.
who had the time and the energy and the experience to be able to like just step in at this last minute. And I just happened to be there. I think it's the sort of thing where it's like right time, right place. God kind of just puts you into the
Yeah.
situation and
Yeah.
you're kind of, hey, I guess it's me.
Yeah. No, I'm glad it was you. Like I said to you earlier, I think it's you're partially the reason why I joined the Greens to begin with. So as a woman and a mother and a British Muslim woman standing in politics, what challenges have you faced and how have you navigated them?
Oh, I mean, the challenges are endless. The challenge, and this is the thing about politics. I think even if you were a man, a Christian man, you would find politics hard.
Mm.
Of course, the extra identity um, nouns do bring their own challenges. Like there will sometimes be rooms in which you're kind of like you might be the only woman in the room, and then that um can have a weird dynamic. But I think over the like when I was much younger, I had to work on like just building a muscle of saying I'm if I'm going to be the only brown woman in the room or the only Muslim woman in the room or even the only woman in the room, you've just got to build that muscle
Mm.
of like okay, well you have something to say. You kind of need to I don't want to say get over yourself because it isn't as simple as that, but it is about you've got to put your fear to one side and think
Yes.
what you're trying to achieve,
Mm.
particularly when you think you're trying to achieve something for the greater good,
Yes.
then individual fears kind of come secondary. But I kind of learned that much younger. So I would
Mm.
say I've now, I'm a few years off 40 now. And so it's not if you start young like that, I think it becomes m much, much easier. But the best time to start is today, right? Like
Yeah.
if you haven't started flexing that muscle, just start flexing it and more, it will become stronger and easier. And there'll be times where, yeah, and I think you will, here's the thing, there will never be a time where you're not afraid. Like, I
Mm.
remember the mayoral hustings,
Yeah.
I was this before that started, but
Yeah.
you kind of just, you put your nerves to one side and
Of
kind of focus on what you're trying to say and what you're trying to do and why you're there. So I think everyone gets nervous. Everyone feels a bit like,
course.
oh, um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So how do you balance being a mom with such a demanding career?
Oh, honestly, by the grace of God, because I don't know. I really find it hard. I do. It's really hard. And I was saying this to I have a co-director. So that's one of the
Mm.
good about my full-time work is that I'm not the sole director. We share power. And it makes for better decision making. It also gives each other more flexibility to be human because if one person's not around, another person can pick up the slack.
Yeah.
So we do rely on, it's that thing of just relying on finding people who can support you
Mhm.
and really leaning on them. It's nothing happens without other people. I mean, even at the Green Party, like to be honest, I brought Mika kind of grew up on the campaigning trail,
Mhm.
and he everyone's really lovely, so people will play
Yeah.
with him whilst I'm doing. If he's getting fussy, people will take him from the pram and like play with him, and so I can like be on the doorstep and do. And now
Oh.
he does leafleting with me. He likes lifting up the box and sliding it in. But I'm definitely not a superwoman. I have bad days. And I remember one of the ones was at the Green Party conference where I brought Mika and he was crying nonstop. He didn't like it. He didn't want to be in a boring room of people. He wanted to play.
Yeah, of
And I
course.
kept him to sleep. He kept not sleeping. And then I was like, do you know, I've just got to go home. I'm just like, best and I've got to go
Yeah.
home. So it's
Yeah.
hard. You just try, right?
You just got to do it, I guess. So, what does empowerment mean to you, especially for those women from underrepresented communities who feel their voice does not matter?
Mm. Um, I think that's a really hard question. I think empowerment for me doesn't come from anyone. Like no one can empower you. You have to empower yourself. And I think that for me, one of the like greatest reflection points for me was when I started recognizing myself as an active believer with agency in God. And
Mm.
that, not like thinking of yourself as having agency as a believer, for me was probably like the biggest transformational shift in, because I think there's a lot of people who are quite passive, but
Mm.
it's when you start seeing yourself as an active agent with agency and choices you have to make and choices that you will be judged for as well at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that was sort of the beginning of empowerment, I think, for me.
Hmm.
Um, but then, of course, again, I feel like all my answers are very samey, but it is a bit like I feel like it's some way it's also nurtured. It's
Yeah.
community, my father, my mother, my support network. It fostered empowerment in me as
Yes.
well. So I guess it's not solely on you. It's not the work, but I also feel like it's internal work and
Hmm.
external. And with those two things, yeah, I think that's what matters.
That's a really good take on empowerment. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. So, what would you say to a woman right now who wants to make a difference but feels the system is not built for them? I was one of them.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is to recognize that the system isn't built for most people,
Mm.
right? It's people in power, the people with wealth, the people who are used to power, who have access to like the fancy schools and all the fancy networks. That is a small percentage of the population.
Mm.
Uh, Most people feel in some way or other the system isn't built for them. So find like I think it is like if you don't have community, if you don't have people who you feel back you, support you and you would like to support, then you've got to start building yourself a community. And that is hard work. It takes time. It means showing up to events. It means, going out of your way.
Mm.
Mumtaz, you're kind of doing it here, like actually just saying, okay, I've got a podcast. I want to like bring women together and hear their stories. That is a form of community building. Um, and it's only with a group of people with lots of different skills coming together can
Yeah.
you like achieve anything or make a big difference. I would say, yeah, I would don't individualize yourself and think that the burden you have to carry is yours alone because
Mm. It
and
isn't,
we don't really get anywhere like that.
of course.
My husband to kind of look after Mika, to, be really supportive, really understanding. I mean, he was out, delivering things for me as well. So it's like we've all got people behind the scenes that
Yes,
people see.
100%.
And if you don't have that, start building that, I think.
Oh, that's amazing. Hira, thank you so much for joining us today. You are exactly the kind of woman She Speaks was great to celebrate. A woman who shows up, speaks up, and refuses to be silent. So you are an inspiration to every woman watching. So if today's episode has moved you, please share it with women who needs to hear it. Find us on YouTube and Facebook. Until next time, keep rising. Goodbye.